had too much caffeine today.
Good evening. Welcome to this final Monday night edition of EWV Live StormCast. I'm your host, Joey Pisani. Great to have you guys back again with us this week. We're joined by some of our fellow team members from across the country. Starting from west to east, we have Elena out in California with us. We also have EWV 105, the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen Kimball. And we have our Oklahoma weather spotter, chaser extraordinaire, Cindy Coleman.
Hey.
And out here, out east in EWV headquarters, I am your host, Joey Pisani, saying welcome to this week's edition of StormCast. We have some great things that we're going to be talking about tonight. Really what we want to do in this week's edition is kind of take a recap at this past month in weather because it was pretty crazy. So we're going to get right to it. All right, so April was a pretty crazy month in weather. Each of us had weather affect us in different ways, from out west in California where Elena lives, even up north in Montana where Steven's at, and of course out in the plains. We had lots of different severe weather events and tornadoes. So we'll start with you, Steven. Kind of give us a recap of what the month of April was like for you up there in Montana.
It was pretty interesting days and everything because we had wind, and then we had some days where it was raining, and we had some days that where it actually was snowing, and it would some of it did stick to the ground, and then by the mornings it was gone because it would be the snow would stick, but the ground was pretty warm to where it would melt.
Mm-hmm.
And
How many
then,
days did you see snow during the month of April, do you think?
God, probably for, let's see, probably like every week I would see it every once in a while. Yeah.
That's pretty good for April up there. So definitely a lot of temperature change up there as well. Did you notice a big fluctuation in temperatures?
Yes, different temperatures and everything, and it it comes to where the weather changes, and so does it goes from cold, or it could go from cold to warm. Some days were pretty cold, and to where it was not time to put on our shorts or short sleeves yet for work. We had to stay warm and have our warm coats and stuff like that to keep us warm until it got warmer. And I guess this a week on Thursday it's supposed to be 77. Then Friday's supposed to be 80. So that's gonna be
Yeah, so
sweet.
definitely warmed up pretty quick. And I want to welcome James to the Stormcast as well. Good evening there, James, out there in Oklahoma as well. So now we're going to actually transition to Oklahoma. So great time. And so, Cindy, James, kind of tell us what was the weather like for the month of April out there in Oklahoma. I know you guys kind of had some storms. And I know even there was a little bit of, in the Oklahoma Panhandle with some of these systems, it got pretty cold up there.
James, you want to go ahead and start?
I think James
Okay. Yes, it was different. It was very different. It wasn't your typical April. It started out being real super warm, and then we had that tornado here in Ada, southeast of Ada, and then we had a lot of lightning, more lightning than I've ever seen here. It ended up around a couple of weeks ago. There was another bad system that came through, and I happened to see the rotation over Ada, but it went more northeast and ended up touching down. We had a slight tornado in Holdenville. And then a couple of days ago, when this system came in that was so absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it was so humid it felt like you could cut it with a knife. It reminded me so much of Florida
Wow.
for
Yeah. I mean,
2 days.
and
then,
excellent thing that you brought up there with the one tornado, because you're absolutely right. We had a couple different really strong storm systems move through. Remember, April 4th and 5th to start out the month. We had the Goodman, Missouri tornado.
right.
That was hit. And then later on in the month, in April 14th, we had that EF3 tornado that went through Dimmitt, Texas, and which also produced severe weather up in Oklahoma as well.
That's right.
And that was basically that particular thunderstorm basically started actually in New Mexico, near Clovis, New Mexico, and then went all the way through the Dimmitt, Texas area. It was about 8.5 hours,
right.
which went through there. And then another interesting thing too is the wildfires. We've seen a lot of wildfires across Florida. We saw some wildfires across parts of Oklahoma and western Texas. Through the middle of April, wildfires actually burned more than 4 times the average, which had more than 16,000 different fires burning across 2 million acres, according to the National Interagency Fire Center, which is typically above the average, above the 10-year average that we've seen.
Right.
But places like Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky were actually below normal. Places like southern Georgia, coastal Carolina, Florida, western Texas, and New Mexico were above average. And then you were mentioning temperature changes. You had some pretty big temperature swings that we saw in April, especially across parts of the Great Lakes. Even, for example, on April 10th, we had what we call a pneumonia front, where you have that rapidly changing drop in temperatures. So from Milwaukee to Chicago on April 10th, in Milwaukee, it was about 41 degrees in Milwaukee, and just south there of that front, it was 68 degrees in Chicago. And again, we have to remember, this is spring, so you're going to get those rapidly contrasting air. We also had some crazy pollen counts as well in the month of April. So, Elena, we also saw some pretty crazy weather out in California. A lot of flooding and a lot of water up there in the Sierra Nevadas. What was the month of April like for you out there in California?
Very wet, very different with the weather, because it would be raining one week and then the next week it would be really cold. I think we stayed in the 60s for a week, and then now we're up in the high 90s all this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty big. And even California's northern Sierra Nevada actually set a record for the all-time wettest, what's called the water year. That was actually set on April 13th with an average of 89.7 inches of water. The previous record was 88.5 inches of water that was set back in the 1982-1983 water year. And this is coming from weather.com. To put it in perspective, that area typically only sees about 50 inches of precipitation in a water year. So, I mean, they saw almost twice as much of that. And just go a little bit further north, Seattle, Washington also experienced above average precipitation. Seattle actually had 139 days of measurable precipitation since October 1st, which is the start of the water year. The previous record was 137 days, set back in 2010-2011. And on the opposite end of the country, all the way up in Caribou, Maine, they've actually had a record amount of snow that's been on the ground. Caribou, Maine has had at least a foot or more of snow on the ground every day, all the way from November 10th to November 30th, all the way through April 10th. That's 132 straight days where you have at least a foot of snow on the ground. So a whole lot of snow on the ground up there in Caribou, Maine. So, I mean, we've seen some crazy weather in April. James, I think you're finally with us there. So wanted to get your input. What was, kind of recap the month of April for us up there in Northeast Oklahoma? I mean, obviously you just recently had all this flooding as well. So tell us a little bit about this recent system that we had here to end the month.
Wet. Incredibly wet. A few tornadoes. The tornado that myself, Loretta, and Zach were chasing over near Adair actually dropped 2 tornadoes. I don't know if anybody checked the National Weather Service on. We were chasing another cell Friday evening down by Tahlequah Tornadic. We've just been it's pretty much saw tornadoes lately too, so it's been interesting to say the least. First time here locally that they've had to open up all 3 floodgates on the nearby dam since 1940.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, that is definitely a lot. I mean, and you guys had what, you picked up about 4 to 6 inches of rain there, you think?
It depends. Locally, some amounts were higher, but here I'd say our average was probably around 6 to 7 inches. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because they're expecting you guys to get some more heavy rainfall there from Tuesday night until Wednesday. It looks like as well. You could
we're looking at about another 5 to 6,
2.
I think.
Yeah, 1 to 2 with possibly some higher amounts of 3 to 5. It looks like there in extreme northeast Oklahoma, maybe just west of Joplin there along I-44. An isolated severe weather threat there on Wednesday as well. So
yeah,
definitely it looks like you guys still have that flash flood warning in effect there in Spavinaw ongoing as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that can be let to pass. The flooding is going to happen. It's already happened. Everything's pretty well crested where it's going to for today.
Gotcha. They still have the flash flood warning there for the dam floodgate release in southern Mayes County there till 7:45 p.m. on Tuesday. So,
correct.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So they're still releasing water out of that.
Yeah, it's still rolling pretty good. We had to do a swift water rescue on one of mine and Loretta's friends. Dear God, it's just been chaotic. Our bridge is out south of town now because it took massive erosion on the north side of it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's definitely closed until further notice. We're supposed to be building a new bridge, but God knows when that'll happen. So it's going to take time before things get to normal after this year.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know across there along the Neosho River all the way into Missouri, that whole river really just flooded all along that river there. So from North Oklahoma all the way back into Missouri and even down into southern Illinois, I guess there was a lot of flooding. Hey there, Jesse. Good to see you. So recap, what was April like for Iowa? What was the big weather stories there in Iowa?
Nothing.
Besides your little hailstorm that you got, I do remember that. That happened in April.
Okay. Well, besides that, and getting rained on while in my garage, and getting pelted with a hail pebble, we got nothing.
Did you notice a lot of temperature fluctuation throughout the month, or was it kind of pretty steady? I mean, right now, what's your temperature at with this most recent system that went through?
We've had 70s, we've had 60s, we've had 30s, we've had 20s. Right now it's 42.
Wow, 42 on May 1st out there in Iowa. That's Yeah.
Wow.
42 outdoors, 80% humidity. Yep. So I mean, it's definitely been quite the month, and I wanted to spend some time to kind of talk about this April 29th to April 30th event that we had, because it was pretty big all across the country. I mean, all the way from places like Chicago to Colorado and western Kansas got snow, to the tornadoes down, obviously the Canton tornado, which was preliminarily rated an EF4, to the flooding. I mean, this was a pretty significant weather system that impacted a large amount of the U.S., from the heavy rain to the snow to the severe storms. And it was definitely something to really mark April by. And a couple interesting notes with this 2-day event. The heaviest of the rain, 3 to 5 inches or greater, basically centered on the Illinois River Valley all the way up through Chicago on April 29th. The highest rainfall amounts were 5.42 inches in Minoka, near the Grundy and Will County border, and in central LaSalle County, which is in Illinois. They had about 4.9 inches near Ottawa and 4.74 inches in Peru. So that is a lot of rain. Chicago, the city of Chicago O'Hare International Airport, recorded 3.27 inches of rainfall in just that one day. A lot of localized rainfall, water rescues. We've even seen the severe weather threat today continue into parts of New York and New York and Pennsylvania. Today alone, we've had over 230 reports of wind. I mean, that is a really powerful storm system we are talking about here. So this is kind of one of the big storm system. Obviously, thankfully, it wasn't as busy of an April as some thought it would be tornado-wise. Yes, we did get really 3 big tornadoes this month that we saw across parts of Texas and Oklahoma, and even into Pennsylvania today, and parts of Arkansas. So I mean, thankfully it wasn't anything where we had 300 or 400 tornadoes this month. But we definitely had, a couple EF3s, EF4, and Jesse's got pulled up right here the April 29th. This is their survey update that we're looking at. So you've got the couple different tornadoes, EF0, the preliminary EF4 Canton tornado, another EF2 tornado, EF3 tornado, the long track tornado, EF0 tornado, and another EF0. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tornadoes there on April 29th there in the Texas, East Central Texas area. So definitely quite the month for sure. And May is definitely going to be another busy month weather-wise. It's kind of nice though. Thankfully, we have not hit 90 degrees here in Atlanta. We've gotten close, but we have not hit 90 degrees here, and it's going to start out kind of cooler this week. We're going to warm up these next couple days, but then cool back down into the 60s and 70s with another system coming through. But it's definitely going to be a interesting May, and then we've got June coming up, so we're going to have hurricane season starting just around the corner, and May is going to be an interesting month. They have some interesting predictions out there. Actually, they have cooler than average temperatures really expected from much of the north central U.S. down into much of the plains, so places like Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, even all the way down into the Oklahoma Panhandle, expecting cooler than average temperatures, and then near average temperatures for much of the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley, down into really the only warmer than average temperatures is expected Florida and the Gulf Coast. So I'm kind of looking forward to hopefully, more of an average temperature season here for the month of May. I'm not ready for 90s yet, maybe not until Memorial Day weekend. But as Jesse, we got the radar pulled up, we still have ongoing severe weather even tonight across portions of Pennsylvania, New York, and Vermont. Still have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings we're looking at here. Again, we've seen a lot of wind damage reports today, over 230. These storms are now crossing from New York into southwestern Vermont, going to be pushing into northwestern Massachusetts here soon, and we still have a couple lingering severe storms also down into northeastern Pennsylvania. Had a pretty strong line of storms roll through the State College area, so that will continue to push off to the east, and it should all be off the East Coast by early tomorrow morning. So that's kind of what we've been looking at. So what else has been going on, guys, weather-wise? Cindy?
Well, I wanted to tell you, Joey, that yesterday it was very, very cool out in the morning, and it was sunny. And by the time I got out of church, the winds were 35 miles an hour, and they were consistent until about 7 o'clock last night. We had wind damage in Ada.
Did you guys have a wind advisory in effect?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
for that
and
cold front.
I'm telling you, the winds were crazy, just constant blowing, and then the gusts were close to 50. It was something else. I had to drive in it, and it was, with a PT Cruiser, it was kind of tricky. But yeah, we had a lot of wind, and that's really went through Oklahoma City on Saturday morning, and in the wee hours of the morning, like probably 1 o'clock in the morning all the way until Saturday afternoon. It was pretty hairy in Oklahoma City. There was a lot of damage done to the fairgrounds. There was an RV park that had not only RVs that were destroyed, but horse trailers, because there was a big show there and they had parked their trailers in. The winds just knocked them over. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, this whole weather system here that we've had these last couple of days has probably been one of our biggest weather makers really so far this year in 2017. Yeah. I mean, it has just been really, like you said, it's been far-reaching. Basically, every form of weather you can have with a weather system we've had with this, from the snow to the flooding to the severe weather to the high winds. To the lightning. I mean, prayers definitely out to, Charles Peak and his family, house struck by lightning, catches on fire. Many people, right. Homes just, under 6 to 8 feet of water, just all sorts of damage. I'm kind of interested to see what the estimated damage cost is going to be with this April 28th to April 30th weather system that we've had come through. I would expect it to at least be, a couple $100 million worth of damage, if not more. It has definitely been one for the record books for sure.
That's for sure.
And hopefully, May seems like this weather system's kind of pushing out tonight. Hopefully this next week, weather-wise, won't be too bad. We're not really expecting too much severe weather really for the rest of the week. So that is definitely some good news. Maybe just some lingering rain showers, maybe a little bit of severe weather by midweek across parts of the Gulf Coast on Wednesday, maybe even up into Oklahoma, but really nothing like we've seen recently with these strong storm systems and strong, damaging, deadly tornadoes. Hearts definitely go out to the folks there. But what else is on your mind there, Jesse? What are you thinking about?
The fact that Cindy changed clothes and nationalities.
But yeah.
Pretending Cindy.
Also, I just want to let everyone know this is going to be our final StormCast for Monday night. It will be moving back to Sunday night here, starting this coming Sunday, actually. We'll be doing it probably Sunday nights around 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Doing it a little bit earlier, so we can get some more people involved and stuff like that. So what about you, James? What are you looking forward to for May? I mean, May's kind of your big tornado month out there in Oklahoma. So what are your thoughts? Have you been taking a look at any of the long range models?
I haven't really got a look at the long range stuff yet. We've been trying to catch up. I'm also on the volunteer fire department here, so we've had calls like crazy trying to keep up. Like I said, Loretta and my friend, we had to do a swiftwater rescue on. Other than that, I'm just looking for more of the same, just less of the flooding.
Yeah, definitely need a break from the slow moving systems. Need those quicker moving systems that don't dump as much rain. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I like those. The tornadoes are a little funner to track too.
Huh?
Well, we aren't really so much flood prone. It's just this has been a bad year for it. The waterways couldn't handle the water that was added to them, and all the ground was already saturated. So kind of a bad deal.
Yeah, just a kind of one of those 1-2 punches right there, for sure.
Yeah, that little land hurricane we had move over kind of did a number on us.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was interesting. If you let me see if I can. It was really you could really see it on the when you were looking at the radar. You could kind of see, not quite a well-defined eye as we've seen before, but you could definitely see the well-defined low-pressure circulation moving across Kansas and northern Missouri as it developed around. It really started developing around 6 p.m. Saturday there across the Oklahoma Panhandle, and then slowly moved off to the north and east Sunday morning. By 2 p.m. Sunday, the center of the storm was kind of right there along the Oklahoma, Kansas border there, just north of you, where you were at there, James. So definitely quite the impressive storm system looking at it on satellite imagery.
Yeah, well, I was told whenever I was a kid that one of the exceptional things about the U.S. was you can experience all different kinds of climates within the borders of the U.S. I found out this month we can do that just in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you could be in the east end of the state and be going at 75 degrees and storming, and travel over to the Panhandle and it can be 35 degrees and snowing all in the same day. So
yeah, dodging tornadoes and hail along your journey.
Yeah, along your journey out west, for sure. For sure. How are you doing there, Arlene? Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm doing good. Just got home from work.
Awesome.
Last
What was
week.
your
Woohoo.
biggest surprise this month?
What's that?
What was your biggest surprise this month weather-wise?
The wind and it being cold.
Yeah. Not really enjoying those 40s in
No.
the first day of May, are you?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm fixing to be off 3 months.
Well, that'll be nice. That'll definitely be nice. And Steven, like he was talking about earlier, he's had a lot of temperature fluctuations as well up there. I mean, he's gone from 70s to 20s up there in Montana. So definitely quite the event. Here in Atlanta, we haven't had as big of temperature fluctuations. We've gotten down into maybe the 50s, but we got pretty hot there for a while. It was just a couple days. It was in the upper 80s, getting close to 90. But now it's cooling down. We're just had that front go through today. But tomorrow's still supposed to be in the upper 70s, and then Thursday it's finally supposed to cool down. So definitely going to be a nice relief for us. But I just definitely want to thank all you guys for joining us for StormCast, and again, we'll be looking forward to talking with everyone on Sunday night.
What the radar looks like in your area, Joey, but I can't.
Yes, I know you can't. You want to know why? Because I am
your
radar.
radar's down for 2 weeks.
The KFFC radar is down till for another 13 days till May 14th. So hopefully we'll get that back up and running here in not too long of a time.
Hey, Joey, tomorrow here in California, it's going to be, the high is 96.
96.
Oh,
yeah,
my
you got
Lord.
that. You've got that big ridge building in there in California. So, but let me real quick before we end, just kind of go over the reports that we saw from the 28th through the 30th. So, on the 28th, it wasn't really a big tornado day. We only saw 3 tornado reports, 66 wind reports, and also 70 hail reports, for a combined total of 128. On the 29th, it was a little bit more active. We saw 11 tornado reports, 161 wind reports, and also 60 hail reports, for a combined total of 197. And then on the 30th, we saw 18 tornado reports. Pretty busy day across Mississippi and Louisiana tornado-wise. 234 wind reports, especially across portions of northern Alabama got hit pretty hard, central Tennessee and central Kentucky, and only 9 hail reports for a combined total of 261 reports. And today, so far, we've seen no tornado reports, 251 wind reports, and 3 hail reports, for a combined total of 250. So definitely been a very impactful weather system that has moved across the eastern 2/3 of the United States. So absolutely pretty big weather system. But again, guys, be sure to tune in Sunday night, May 7th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central for StormCast. Every Sunday night, we'll be posting the information on our website. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're interested, consider joining the team. Just go to our website, click on the Apply tab, fill out an application, and we would love to get you involved. But for all of us from Extreme Weather Videos, I'd like to say that it has been an absolute pleasure chatting it up with you guys about this past month's crazy weather. And hopefully May will be more of the same, but not deadly like we've seen here in these last couple days.
Yeah.
And hopefully not too hot. I'm really hoping that it is a milder May temperature-wise compared to last year, because last year it was 90 degrees like 12 days out of the 31
Yeah, it was.
in May. It was just way too hot last year for me personally. So Elena, Cindy, James, and Jesse, yes, we do love EWV. Hope you guys all have a great night. All of our viewers,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning
You
in.
forgot me.
And Arlene, sorry you were hiding
Thank you.
there. And Arlene, thanks for joining us this week. I will see you guys next week on StormCast. Have a great one, guys.
You
You
too.
too.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.